Good afternoon and welcome to the Lebanon Senior Center. This afternoon we are going to be presenting to you how to do bean dips. Bean dips are great for those small gatherings. They can make a little snacky kind of lunch. They're full of fiber, they're full of protein, nice lean protein, all kinds of healthy nutrients to help boost the nutritional value of a snack, be it with crackers or even eating it with vegetables. Of course, as we're also now coming out of the pandemic situation and shutdown, you might be starting to gather socially. Some bean dips can be a fun and inexpensive way to offer a snack, an appetizer to friends or family who are coming over to visit, or maybe to take it with you to an outing or picnic. So today I'm going to demonstrate with some garbanzo beans or chickpeas. You can use almost any kind of bean really that you like the flavor of. I also like to use black beans a lot, quite possibly my favorite bean. The recipe that's going to be posted online is using Great Northern beans instead of the garbanzos. Of course, if you've ever had hummus, chickpeas, garbanzo beans are the base for hummus. So we're going to get started. So I have already opened my can and rinsed the beans and tossed them into the bowl and just a little bit used our hand blender, our immersion blender, to get started blending those up. Just didn't want it to get super loud and have to spend too much video making so much noise. Go ahead and put that attachment back off, and I'm going to set it to the side for just a minute. I will do a word of caution as you go. First, put your blender in. If you're using a hand blender or a hand immersion blender, it might be a little bit like Pop Rocks. Sometimes those little chunks of bean come flying back out at you. Might not hurt you, but it does add for a little mess. So even though it's a small amount of beans, I used a big bowl to try to contain it. If you have, one of the fancier food, mixing, chopping, whirling machines of your choice, you can certainly put this in a food processor as well. And of course, that's usually contained with a lid. So that might make it a tad easier. So there we go. So that's the start of it. I did start chopping it. Now we need to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Of course, if you're doing this at home, you would add the olive oil before you start chopping them up. Again, I just did it a little bit early just to make sure we weren't going to have too much buzzing noise going on during the video. All right, there's our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. All right, you can use a fresh lemon, or I'm going to use the lemon from, the already squeezed for me variety. And we're going to be putting in about a tablespoon of lemon juice. If you like lemony flavor, you can certainly add a little more. Or, if you're not too big on all the extra acid, you could certainly add a little less. I think I've shared all the lemon tricks I have for you, except maybe how to squeeze one of these suckers. It reminds me of milking a goat. Alrighty, there we go. Our tablespoon of lemon is in there. I am going to add a little bit of garlic. I don't think you can go wrong. The recipe I will probably share online doesn't have the garlic add-in, but what can I say? I'm a big fan. So, because I don't want it to overwhelm the herbs, I'm also going to put in, I'm only going to do about, let's go ahead. I was going to say half a teaspoon, but come on, let's get real. I'm putting a whole teaspoon in there because I like garlic. All right. And of course, you can do a little black pepper to your liking. Fresh cracked black pepper is, of course, going to be a little bit more pungent. And you can certainly add a little bit of salt to taste. If you're watching your salt, don't add any. If you are using a really salty cracker, you might want to lean towards not putting so much salt in or no salt at all, because your crackers might make up that salty difference when you put the cracker and the dip in your mouth. You don't want it to seem overly salted. All right, now for I always love to give you guys just a little fun tidbit when I'm doing a cooking demo. I'm going to slide our bowl out of the way for just a minute, and I'm going to bring the fresh herb into play that we're going to use today. I've got some fresh rosemary right here. And if you've ever used fresh herbs, you know that they can be a lot of fun to try to get off their stems. So this is a rosemary stem. It looks a bit like a pine branch. And if you're feeling really tedious, you sit here and you start plucking all those leaves off one at a time, right? That can be very dissuasive. That might not make you want to go, yeah, I want to use fresh herbs in my stuff because they're so much fun to sit here and try to take apart. Well, here's a little tidbit for you. If you have anything in your kitchen with holes, like the spoons happens to have holes, you might have a colander. Heck, even this little spatula has a hole to hang it up, on a hook in. Well, this is the trick today. You might take off just one or two, kind of part way down on the leaves. And you're going to carefully, see if I can do this on camera, just poke the first nubbins of your herb through that hole, and then hold tight to that top. See, so it's kind of dangling through the hole. Alrighty, Roo. I'm going to work my way down. Some of them want to peel off better than others. I don't know if you can see it. It's coming through. Look at this naked stem. I'm pulling it through in reverse. And look at that. That little stem is bare, and all of those leaves are here. Ha ha ha. You might have a few small woody bits that you want to pull off, but it makes it super easy to strip your herbs off their stem. Of course, then you have this very aromatic, kind of like twig hanging out. You can certainly use these if you leave a little more on the top. You could use them as a garnish. Heck, you could put a few small cherry tomatoes on there, or some other kind of soft things, and you've got a cute way to present yet another appetizer, or to emphasize it, add some accents to a drink or a dish you're going to be serving maybe. Anyway, cute service idea and easy way to strip your stems of their herbs. There we go. All right, one more time just for the fun and amusement of it. This time I'm going to try to do better about wrangling all those little leavies through the little hole. And again, if you've got a colander, you could certainly use that. You just need a hole big enough that your stem's going to fit through and nothing else. There you go. There's patient number 2. Yet one more little stem for us to use. Okay, so I'll put my little stem friends aside, my spatula aside. Now we have all these really great looking. I'm just doing a quick check. Sometimes a few woody bits get through. Of course, I'm making my fingers smell all raspberry. Not a raspberry. How about rosemary? All right. So for our recipe, we are adding, this is a tablespoon. I'm going to do a little bit more than a tablespoon because I want them really fragrant beans. There we go. All right. Now it's going to get noisy. So this is your warning. Turn your volume down if you haven't already. And we are going to, let's see if I can do this with my arms stretched out. so we're going to dismantle our lovely little hand blender. We'll whack off a few extra chunks there. Try to get everybody, all the yumminess back in the bowl. Inside. Gotta be careful, you don't want to stick your fingers in there. There is a sharp blade under all of that dip. There we go. A smaller glass bowl here. But I should grab a bigger spatula. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Really smell that rosemary. All right. If you want to thin it out a little bit more, you can certainly thin it out with a little bit of water. Totally up to you. You get it on your serving, in your serving dish. Of course, coming out of a pandemic, maybe you don't want to do one giant bowl of dip. You could do things in some disposable shot glasses or put a spoon nearby and encourage people to serve it up on a plate. Little plate, a couple of crackers. Didn't bring a little spoon with me, so I'll use my little spatula. You know, you can put a little bit of dip on plates for folks, and then they can try their hand at your lovely dip. Of course, as I mentioned at the top of the demo, you can certainly use a variety of different beans and a lot of different kinds of herbs too. So if I was doing black beans, I might use cilantro instead. Probably bump up the onion and garlic flavors. Just make them your own and have a lot of fun with it. And hopefully you can have a fun social gathering or a fun, healthy, quick snack. Our love from the Lebanon Senior Center. We hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.